Welcome back to another episode of Asada Magical Index. So this is going to be the final episode of Season 1 of Index. Now, after this, we're going into Season 1 of Railgun. I don't know why I was going to say Royal. Railgun, which is obviously not a direct continuation of Index. I believe it's, I don't know if it's a spin-off or just a, I guess a different route or whatever. I don't know. Either way though, I know it's kind of like separate from it. I don't know what exactly it is going to be, how it's going to work out. We'll see when we go into episode 1. I don't know what kind of relation it's going to have to this story here. We'll see. But obviously by the name I'm gonna presume it's gonna be about Misaka. Either way, doesn't matter. The reason why we're doing it this way and not jumping right into Index Season 2 is because I talked about this at the beginning, but it's because we're going by release order as opposed to just like, you know, chronological, whatever. Because I feel like that makes more sense, right? Release order is usually how most people probably watched it, and I want to follow that. So I'm gonna be watching it in release order as well. Anyways, in the previous episode, we finished it off with a fight between Index and Sherry. That's it. Sherry and her golem still happening, but someone intervened at the very end. Now, who was it? Was it Toma? Was it Hyoka? Was it Misaka? We don't know. I guess we're gonna see it in this episode. So let's see how they conclude this series, this season here. So if you wanna watch this, Uncut and Blood, as always, on my Patreon in the description. And let's go into Asata Magical Index, episode 24. Well, let's see. Let's see. Maybe it was Toma there at the end. Imagine a number school district, 5 element agencies, the title of the final episode. Let's see it. Oh, that's not good. I would not have the reflexes to dodge that. I would just die. Yeah. Yes, we saw that with Tsuchimika though. Their bodies got destroyed. So that's what she's trying to create a war between them? Yeah, like... Yeah, exactly. She wants to establish fear? Oh, like a Cold War. Okay, so wait. I feel like we got some nuggets of information there. So, okay, that makes sense that they wanted to attempt, what happens when an Esper uses magic. I am not surprised whatsoever with that. It is unfortunate that obviously it was her friend who ended up being kind of like the guinea pig for that entire operation, and it seems like they were very much... It wasn't like an oopsie where they were like, uh-oh, we screwed up, let's, try to mitigate the damage. They were definitely experimenting on them and not letting them escape whatsoever, right? So definitely didn't seem like the optimal environment. But that's basically what we are used to at this point, right? We know that basically most of the researchers at the top here are very immoral or maybe amoral people, right? Who'll do anything for research, right? So yeah, she's very pissed off because it was her friend Elise, right, who ended up being the guinea pig for it, and now she wants to basically create she wants the war to almost break out, right? She said that would be enough. I'm guessing it's because she wants the tension between the two sides to be there, right? So the two sides don't intermingle, right? Kind of like a Cold War, right? Of both sides staying to themselves because there is such a thick tension between them. So she wants to create that, basically a big divide between them. Oh, nice. Quick thinking. Quick thinking. She changed her position, so the entire spell stopped. Okay. Mm. A single one. Yeah. That makes sense. Preach. Preach. It was never about the war or anything along those lines. It was about her friend, her grief. Oh! Did Toma... Is that what happened? Oh... Misaka! I think it's going to be Hyoka though. I didn't like that sound effect. Yeah, it is Hyoka. Oh, wait! Whoa, 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 whoa! She caved in its chest. Oh, ow. Yep. Toma's gonna be here. Toma's gonna be here, don't worry. Toma! Whoa! Damn! Okay, she's a lot stronger than I thought she was. They love showing that shot. Is that him? Is that a boy? Yo! Wow. Dude, Toma, what a guy. What a guy. And Hyoka didn't have to get hurt much either. Misaka! Where were you all this time? Didn't you hear anything? She's so head over heels for him. Their relationship is... It's so funny to watch. It's been really nice to see it develop, right? Misaka has actually gradually become more and more... Like, her crush has gotten more and more severe as time went on. It's cute. You can, you can.
怖がられても嫌われても見殺しになんて生きるはずがないでしょ。
苦しいのか悲しいのかそう思えるならお前は化け物なんかじゃねえよ。
Preach.
月並みでベッタベタのセリフかもしんねえけどさ、お前は人間だよ。俺が保証してやる。それからな、お前の幻想はまだ終わっちゃいねえぞ。
She is a byproduct of other humans. So does that make her human as well? I guess so. I would say so.
なんでですか。おかしいじゃないですか。私は
Oh, trust me, ma'am. We've met way worse than you.
どうしてあの子は私を見てあんな友達に負けるような顔が浮かべられるんですか。
確かにお前は人とはちょっと体の作りが違うかもしれないし、他の人にはできないことができるのかもしれねえけどさ。
評価。
それでもお前がインデックスの友達だってのに変わりはないだろう。
Yeah, she doesn't know what kind of people we've met at this point.
また一つ、虚数学五行機関を制御するための鍵の完成に
Oh, here we go.
気がついたというわけだ。正直、俺にはお前が化け物に見えるぞ。まさか、虚数学の正体が AIM 拡散力場そのものだなんて誰も思わぬだろうがな。そんなものに自我を植え付けて実体化の手助けをするなど、正気の沙汰とは思えない。何を考えている、アレイスター。
Alistar, yeah.
待てよ。虚数学は人間とは別位相に存在するある種の力の集合体。それによって構成される生命体。俺はその存在を知っている。天使。
Oh!
虚数学の住人が、例えば風切りが天使と表現されるなら、彼女たちが住んでいるとされる街とは、つまり
Heaven?
まさか
Yeah, an artificial heaven.
投げるつもりか。私に天使だの天界だのと言われてもな。抜かせ。
Oh, that's an interesting hypothesis.
魔術師アレイスター・クローリー。
Alistair Crowley.
今回の一件で世界は緩やかに狂い始めた。イギリス正教のメンバーをわざとこの町に招き入れ撃退したんだからな。
Intentionally, you say.
俺にはお前が考えていることなどわからない。だが、あの幻想同士を利用するというなら覚悟しろ。生半可な信念で立ち向かえば、あの右手はお前の幻想を食い殺すぞ。
So, is Alistar going to be like Alistar going to be like the main focus of the entire show? The main goal, the main villain, if you will?
見てくださいよ。今回俺って
It fell apart a long time ago. Interesting. So I'm guessing the wall that they're talking about, the 5-element thingy, is a thing that we saw in the previous episode, right, with Hyoka, when she saw all of those other people that kept transforming and stuff like that. That was her world, and then she stepped over to this side, she said, right? That was the first time that she stepped over to this side and talked to someone. And he hypothesized that Tsuchimikado hypothesized that she would be an angel, if that's the case, right? Interesting. And that world that we saw is an artificial heaven, right? Would you constitute as an artificial angel? I guess so, right? That is very interesting. If they're able to create, or if they're trying to create artificial angels and an artificial heaven, that is interesting. And they're trying to use the Imagine Breaker to do so, right? To further their goal. Alistar is interesting. Okay.
あなたという人は本当に本当に本当に人様に迷惑をかけたのはあなたあんた好きでさんのお世話になるだなんて。だから風切り評価の警戒性を
I actually really like Isa. She's really chill. I like how she's just vibing, usually. Oh.
そのスカート、直さないの？そんなに変かな？変かも。すごく変かも。ただでさえ怪しいのに、さらに怪しいかも。ただでさえ？
Oh. Oh. Is she disappearing?
評価、それ、私の体は超能
Is she running out of energy? Is she gonna go back to the other world? The artificial heaven?
自分が不安定な存在であることには変わりはないの。ひょっとしてトーマの右手のせいで？もし力を受けていたとしたら、私は跡形もなく消滅してるはずだもの。
Yeah.
そうそう。あの人の力について、私も詳しくはわからないんだけどね。超能力だけでは説明できないの。さてと、評価？
It's just an Esper ability. Yeah, definitely doesn't seem like just an Esper ability for sure.
私はもう帰らないと。評価！心配しなくても大丈夫。私の体は大勢の人の力でできているんだよ。仮に消えたって私が死ぬわけじゃないの。
She's crossing over to the artificial heaven, right?
たとえあなたにはわからなくても、私はずっとあなたのそばにいるから。
Is this permanent?
評価。また遊んでくれるよね。
Oh. That's sad. Is she permanently going to be on the other side now? Wait, is this the... Oh,
だからな、
no.
2学期というのは忙しいんだぞ。でも暇だよ、つまんないんだよ。トーマは構ってくれないし、遊んでくれないし。
そやから魔法使いってのはこういうのを言うんや。どや燃えるやろ。さあ姫やもうほら。
Yo, she's matching him. She's matching his energy.
包み方ちゃんは？
ああ、仕事ならもう始めてるぜ。
Accelerator! How you doing? Aww, last order. Aww, cute. My goat. Frogface. Dr. Frogface. Misaka? Kuroko. Unhinged. Unhinged, man. Kuroko. Wait.
禁書目録の手を借りねばならぬ事態が起きたりけるのよ。管理人にも同行
Still.
してもらいて。
管理人か。わかりました。これより神崎と日本へ立ちます。
Kaori.
それが神崎と連絡が取れんのよ。
どういうことですか、アークビショップ。
せっかく地味な装束を酔ったのだから、仰々しく名前で呼ぶべからずなのよ。ローラ・スチュワート。そう呼びきるののことよ。
Laura Stewart. Archbishop. And there's a Daihaisei festival happening. Interesting, okay.
インデックスさん。
We're setting up season 2 here.
冷蔵庫の中空っぽだったこと忘れてたんだね。
うわ。
トーマ一人いいもの食べてるんだね。
いやこれは昼飯の残りで。
トーマだけお昼ご飯食べたんだね。お腹すいた、お腹すいた、お腹すいた。
You gotta teach her how to go to a combini and leave her some money for it, man. You really gotta do that. Otherwise, you're gonna be always attacked by her. You really need to teach her some stuff. Okay, that's the end of the season. This was a really good episode. I really enjoyed the ending of this arc. There was an interesting conclusion there, right? To the entire Sherry arc. Obviously, we saw now here as well how most of the higher-ups, most of the researchers are very amoral when it comes to like their research and what it costs, the cost of the research, right? It seems like everyone is kind of in the camp of the ends justify the means, right? And as long as the ends show any kind of new data, it doesn't matter if it's like a positive result, but any kind of new data that they didn't know about yet or weren't certain about yet, then that's a result that justifies any kind of mean, any kind of I guess cost that it incurred, right? So it doesn't surprise me whatsoever that ended up being the case, but it did surprise me that Cherry was doing that out of like grief, right, for her friend. So yeah, that was interesting. The entire Hyoka situation was interesting as well, especially with the context from Aleistar, right, of like artificial heaven, the angels and stuff. So it seems like she crossed back over. She's no longer on the physical side, right? She doesn't have a physical appearance on this side anymore, but she crossed back over to the other side. I don't know if we're ever going to see her materialize again. I don't know what needs to happen for that to happen. I'm guessing she needs more energy. I don't know how she gets more energy, but we'll see, right? We'll see as we watch. Yeah, that was cool. And yeah, we got to see some setup for the future arc with Laura Stewart, the Archbishop, and sending Still and Kaori to Japan, right? They said that they can't find Kaori right now, so we'll see what that's all about. But yeah, and also Tsuchimika that was talking on the phone about something, so we will see. I want to talk about briefly about the entirety of season 1 thus far, because now we're going to be going on to Railgun, right, season 1. So I want to talk about the entirety. I think my favorite arc of season 1 is, I would say, pretty easily, pretty comfortably, the Index arc, and more specifically after the Still fight and stuff. After, like, once we started setting up the actual mystery of Index's memories and stuff, that's when I think it really picked up for me. And I think that was like episode 2 or 3, like end of episode, I think it was episode 3 where it started to really pick up. And then the entire Index arc from there on out, I really loved that entire arc there. I think that was definitely my favorite arc of the season. But I also do like some of the other arcs quite a bit. The Ice arc was fun, right? And then I'm trying to remember all of the arcs. The entire Fever Dream arc, what was it again? Angel Fall arc, that one was fun. That one was fun. It was weird and out of place, or not out of place necessarily, it came out of nowhere, I should say, but it was a fun arc. I really like the Accelerator arc, actually. I really like the first Accelerator arc, the Sisters arc, right? The second one was also good, but I preferred the first one. I think it's really good, because I think the Sisters were really good. And I feel like I just really like the arcs that tell us more about the organizations and the overall world. And I feel like the initial setup for the Sisters arc and like the later Accelerator arc really let us know a lot more about the researchers and stuff like that, what they're doing, what their morals are, how the government is structured in this academy city. Talk to us more about Orihime 2 and all of those things, how the supercomputer is working, how much importance they put on the supercomputer's calculations and stuff, how we can trick it. Same thing with the initial Index arc, where we got to know more about Necessarius and stuff, right? And what they are trying to do, what their morals are, how they're, are like, how far they would go to stop war, and stop, maybe Index from interfering, and all those things. I really like those things, so I think those are my favorite parts of this. It does feel like it is kind of, as opposed to like being this big overarching like story that flows from one arc to the other, it more so feels like it's just this one world where a bunch of weird stuff happen and Toma is just caught up in the middle of it without any necessarily like big connections between the weird stuff happening. Obviously, like all of the stuff that are happening are connected in a tangential way where, you know, Sherry here, she is a part of Necessarius, so in that way it is kind of connected to the rest of Necessarius that we saw and stuff, but the actual stuff happening in the arc don't necessarily fully affect the story. I think the biggest thing that affected the story, let's say from this arc, that's going to be important later down the line is probably Hyoka and the existence of the artificial heaven and the angels and stuff that they were talking about, right? But even then, like, let's go back to Angel Fall. That also felt like it, I don't know how much that affects the overarching story. I feel like it talked a bit about like the angels and stuff, which definitely does affect the story and adds to the story, but the actual events of the arc themselves, and also obviously Tsuchimikado being revealed as a Necessarius member. But I feel like every single time, with every arc, they add a few details about the world that add to the story, but the actual events of the arc themselves feel like they're just kind of like an event that happens and Toma is caught up in it, he has to take care of it, and then we move on to the next arc. They do feel a bit disconnected at points, which I think is just the structure of the show. Now I've come to realize, right, after watching the entire season 1, I think this is just the structure of the show. It's not necessarily like just a big story where we're working towards one big goal here, where everything is connected, like fully connected, and it flows from one arc to the other. It is kind of like a bunch of seemingly disconnected incidents happening where Thomas caught up in, and it slowly reveals pieces of information with every single thing that happens, right? And that's kind of more so what it feels like. I've come to realize towards the end of the season, which is fun. I feel like it does make it so that some arcs are better than the others, because some arcs don't feel as consequential as the others, but that's fine, right? That's fine. It was an enjoyable season 1. I am curious to see where they take all of the pieces of information that we've gotten in the upcoming seasons. I feel like they can take it in some really cool direction, right? Directions. I feel like they could really flesh it out into a banger story, because this kind of thing, if they set up this many pieces of lore about the world in a manner that they're setting it up right now, where it's pretty slowly setting everything up, then I feel like they could really set up something really cool here, right? And it's one of those things that can pay off in the long run a lot, because it is a slow way to build it up, but I feel like it can be really cool down the line. Maybe season 2, season 3, season 4, once we get to like some, I don't know how many seasons there are. I said season 4, but I don't even know if there is a season 4. I know that there is a season 3, but maybe later down the line it can really pay off into something really big, right, that we've been building up all this time. We'll see though. We will see. I'm also curious to see more about Misaka, and because I think Misaka has really fallen head over heels over head over heels for our boy Toma. So I wonder if they're going to take that anywhere. Obviously we're going to be going into Railgun, which I'm going to surmise based on the title that it's going to be about Misaka, since she is the one who has, you know, with the railgun, so I would guess it's going to be about her. I don't know if she's going to be the main character, or if it's going to be Toma again being the main character, and it's going to be about just a full-on season about Misaka and Toma. I don't know. We'll see once we go into this arc, right, in the next episode. So I'm excited for it either way, though. I'm excited for it, man. I've heard, honestly, before going into this, I've heard way more about Railgun than I did about Index, and still I didn't hear much of it, but the name, I definitely heard Railgun more than Index, so I don't know if it is more popular or not, but I definitely feel like I've heard more about it. Anyways, also one thing that I'm really excited about, Only My Railgun, love that opening, Oh yeah, and another thing that I want to say, my favorite characters, by far and beyond, not even close, not any kind of competition, Toma, the biggest Giga Chad in this show, by far my favorite character. Love Toma. I also love a lot of the other characters. I don't think there's a bad character in this. Yeah, I really like all of the characters in this. I don't think there was a single character that I found like annoying, apart from like some of the villains who were like just, you know, obviously villains. But like I really like Tsuchimikado, really like Kaori, really like Still, really like Tsuchimikado, Index, Aisa, Hyoka, like Misaka, of course, Kuroko. Love all of those characters. So yeah, I don't have anything. Also the teacher, Tomoe, right? I really like her. I don't have anything bad to say about any of the characters, but Toma, far and beyond, is like a few degrees above everyone else. Really love that guy. He really makes the show. So yeah, I love that. But now it's time for Railgun, so I'm excited for that. For now, I'm gonna end it here. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!